I've known Diane for years now. We met on the Knoxville Tree Board. And so I'm really delighted to have you here, Diane. And you've been a great support for trees in Tennessee, as well as a great support for Trees Knoxville. And we appreciate your doing this tonight. So you can go ahead and take it away, Diane.
Okay, thank you, Tracy. As she said, I'm Diane Warwick. I work for the Tennessee Department of Agriculture Forestry Division. I've worked for the division about 22 years now, and I've actually been in the urban community forestry program for about the last 4 years. So I'm born and raised in Knoxville, went to UT twice. So this apple didn't fall far from the tree, and I'll talk a little more about apples later. Right now, I'm going to stop my video so you all don't have to watch the top of my head as I go through my presentation. Okay, so I'm going to talk about healthy trees, healthy lives. And this is actually a campaign that was developed by the Southern Group of State Foresters, of which the Tennessee Division of Forestry is a member. And I actually serve on the Urban and Community Forestry Committee. So the UNCF committee and the communication committee developed this campaign to educate people about healthy trees and healthy lives. And so we're going to look in more detail at these icons and images to learn why trees are vital to our good health and well-being. And especially now more than ever, you know, outdoor recreations are critical for us. Not only for our mental health, but important for our physical health. Okay, so this is a collection of pictures that I call travestries. And before we start, I wanted to show you these and ask you, do these make you feel good? They don't make me feel good. You know, non-native invasive plants are one of the major threats to our urban and community forest resources, but improper maintenance, such as topping and mulch volcanoes, also threaten the health of our urban trees. And that's why we're focusing on healthy trees, healthy lives. These trees need help, I'm sorry to say. The one on the far left is actually a silver maple. And I passed this tree for months at a time on my way home. And I noticed the decay. I noticed the dead limbs. I noticed a lot of issues with this tree. And so, you know, we want healthy trees and we don't want to endanger anyone's home or property or lives. So it's important that we take care of our trees. Okay, so I'll begin with our heart. Did you know that heart disease is one of the leading causes of death in this country? Annually, about 655,000 Americans die from this disease each year. That's 1 out of every 4 people. So I'll start out talking about trees caring for our heart. And in a study published in the American Journal of Preventive Medicine in 2013, they found that exposure to trees relaxes and restores your mind, lowering your blood pressure and your heart rate. And the name of this study was The Relationship Between Trees and Human Health, Evidence from the Spread of the Emerald Ash Borer. And any of y'all are familiar with the emerald ash borer, you know that once the trees have been infected by this insect, it's basically a death sentence for those trees. So there are a lot of neighborhoods, especially up north, and I've heard a lot of horror stories from up north where they planted street trees, all one species, all ash. So imagine that your neighborhood was a lovely tree-lined place, and now all the trees are dead and there's no shade and it looks like a war zone, you know.
Oh yeah.
These kind of events, just like watching kudzu consume your property, can profoundly affect not only your mental health but your physical health as well. I'm going to move on to our lungs. Each year, thousands of people die from chronic lower respiratory disease. And this is a group of lung conditions that block airflow and cause breathing issues. For example, COPD, bronchitis, and emphysema. And this is the fourth highest cause of deaths in the US. And the reported number from 2017 showed 52.9 deaths per 100,000 people per year. And this number has actually seen a 29.7% increase from 1980 to 2014. So trees care for our lungs. In a study titled Children Living in Areas with More Street Trees Have Lower Prevalence of Asthma, this was published in the Journal of Epidemiology and Community Health back in 2008. And so trees keep our world clean and healthy by filtering particles out of the air we breathe. And this decreases our risk of respiratory illnesses. I often describe this effect to grade school students, comparing trees to big feather dusters in the air. Now I'm going to move on to one of the largest organs of our body, and that is our skin. Skin cancer is the most common cancer in the US. According to the Skin Cancer Foundation, 1 in 5 Americans will develop skin cancer by the age of 70. However, about 90% of non-melanoma skin cancers are associated with exposure to ultraviolet radiation. So trees actually care for our skin. If you visit skincancer.org and go to prevention, sun protection, seek the shade, you will find a lot of good information concerning protection from UV rays. And we all know that the urban trees throw the shade on our exposure to those harmful rays. And this is one that I found really interesting. Trees care for our little ones, supporting higher birth weights and healthier babies. And so I realized that these categories I'm going through, you know, they are categorized, and scientists love to categorize, but in reality, all of these benefits and all of these things I'm talking about roll together into one big picture because, you know, intrinsically, the environment is good for us. But how do we scientifically prove that? It's kind of a challenge, but in the past 20 to 25 years, there has been numerous studies and numerous research, you know, that you may have known a person in your life where you tell them something and they say, prove it. Well, this is what we're trying to do with healthy trees, healthy lives. We're trying to prove this. And so this study that I'm citing here is titled Association Between Residential Greenness and Birth Weight, Systematic Review and Meta-Analysis. And I'll touch back on this a little bit later. And here we see an elderly woman reaping the fruits of her labor. And this reminds me of when I was little. My mama had a small green apple orchard in the back of her house. And this is actually in Whittle Springs. This was in the city. But when it came time to pick the apples, all of the aunts and uncles and cousins and everyone would show up, and we'd get the ladders out of the barn and we would start picking apples. My mama she had the screen doors and the sawhorses and the cheesecloth, you know, and some of them she dried and made stacked cakes. A lot of them we turned into apple butter. And there were always those few apples at the very top of the tree that they couldn't reach with the ladder. And so we're like, Diane, climb the tree and get those apples, because they knew I loved to climb trees. And so I have a very long history with trees. But trees do care for our nutrition. In a study titled Urban Forest Justice and the Right to Wild Foods, Medicines, and Materials in the City, it was found that what we know, fruits and nuts from trees contain antioxidants, which boost our immune system, and they provide healthy fats to help decrease bad cholesterol levels. And like I said, that rolls back into good for our heart. And that study was published in Human Ecology in 2012. And especially lately, a lot of emphasis has been put on environmental justice, addressing heat islands, underserved communities, and food deserts that are found frequently in lower income areas of our cities and our towns. Foraging for food has been done by humans for thousands of years. You know, we have the knowledge needed to address some of these inequities. And there are organizations in practically every city seeking to provide access to food from trees. So trees are good for our heart, our lungs, our skin, our babies. Trees are good for our nutrition. And all of this leads to our overall fitness. In a study titled Visual Color Perception in Green Exercise, Positive Effects on Mood and Perceived Exertion, they found that green spaces and tree-lined streets encourage walking and other outdoor activities and generally encourage a healthier lifestyle. The part of this study where it says effects on mood and perceived exertion, I wonder about that one, because I think I would argue the fact that if you're jogging around a football field in the hot sun, you're working harder than if you were jogging down a tree-lined trail or street. So remember the Travis trees? Now, how do these trees make you feel? They make me feel much better. The cherry trees on the right are actually a picture that I took from the internet, and that's in Germany. And the tree on the left is from my counterpart down in Florida. I believe that's a lovely live oak. Trees care for our comfort. Shade from a tree's canopy can reduce temperatures by up to 20 degrees Fahrenheit, making it safer and more comfortable to be outdoors. You know, one of the things I never thought about were the volatile compounds which are in our fuel tanks of our vehicles. You know, we go to the mall and we park our car in the hot sun. We're already burning fossil fuels to get there. And then our car is sitting in that hot sun, and that greatly increases those volatile compounds that are released from these cars sitting in the hot sun. So, you know, not only do we need trees along our streets, we need trees in our parking lots. And these findings were from a literature review for the QuantaTree computer program. They are quantifiable urban forest benefits and costs, current findings, and future research. Now we're going to move along. You know, I already said that the outdoor activities are especially important during these trying times. And thank goodness we're not quarantined from the outdoors. Trees actually care for our peace of mind. In a study titled Greater Tree Canopy Cover is associated with lower rates of both violent and property crime in New Haven, Connecticut. They found that exposure to forest decreases mental fatigue by relaxing and restoring your mind, as well as providing a sense of security. They found that there are, this study published in 2012 was titled More Green Space is Linked to Less Stress in Deprived Communities, Evidence from Salivary Cortisol Patterns. So evidently they can measure your stress from your salivary cortisol patterns. That's intense. know, how many times as a child did you hear, go outside and play? Well, I heard this many times when I was growing up. And it wasn't necessarily that mother knew outdoor play was better than sitting in front of the TV, which it is. She was probably just trying to get me out of the house and under her feet. But I remember taking my son to Lone Mountain State Forest. We spent hours making little boats from leaves and sticks and then running alongside the creek to see how far they would go. The Arbor Day Foundation actually has a new program, Tree Campus K through 12, where they're encouraging the planting of trees and the education of trees on school campuses. Trees care for our brain. A study titled A Potential Natural Treatment for Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder, Evidence from a National Study, showed that kids who play in nature are more relaxed and attentive, and this improves learning and performance in school. And this was published in the American Journal of Public Health. And another study said that children with attention deficits concentrate better after a walk in the park. And then another final study titled Views to Nature, Effects on Attention. And this was in the Journal of Environmental Psychology back in 1995. And I have all of these citations and all of these links. If anyone is interested at the end of my presentation, I'll be happy to share them with you. I once saw an interview on TV of a lady in Crete. I think I may be wrong, but she was the oldest living person at that time, and she was 112. And when they asked her about her longevity, she credited gardening and caring for the living plants and being outdoors in nature for her longevity. Trees care for our vitality. So once again, trees absorb pollutants so you can breathe clean, fresh air. And this actually helps your brain release serotonin to boost your energy and your mood. And this is also citing the visual color perception in green exercise study that I mentioned earlier. Sometimes when I'm talking to school children about trees, you know, I challenge them to go sit under a tree. You know, I say, perhaps your mom made you mad, or your best friend hurt your feelings, or whatever's going on with you. You know, if you can, maybe you don't have a park nearby, but if you can, just try this. Go out and sit under a tree and don't talk and try not to move and just listen and look and see the squirrels and hear the birds and just feel, see if it doesn't work. I challenge them, you know, to do their own study and go around out there and see if maybe perhaps it does calm you and soothe you a little bit. Give it a try. Here we see a lady rolling around in the orchard, and I'm sure she's much happier out there as opposed to the paved walkways around the hospital parking lot. So trees care for our immune system. Being in and around nature helps our body's immune system and boosts disease-fighting cells, causing them to act faster. And I don't know if any of you have heard of forest bathing, but this is a practice that actually began, I believe, in Japan. And there's a study that was published in the Environmental Health and Preventative Medicine that says effect of forest bathing trips on human immune function. And also out of the Nippon Medical School in Tokyo, the study titled Healthy Forest Parks Make Healthy People. Forest environments enhance human immune function. And so this is something that they, you know, a lot of us in our heart and in our mind, we know the environment is good for us. We know these green spaces are good for us. But for the people who say prove it, we have a lot of ammunition to give them now. So if we're boosting our immune function and our lungs and our heart and our skin is healthier, we're actually, trees are taking care of our healing. In a study titled Effects of Gardens on Health Outcomes, Theory and Research, found that being able to see trees while recovering from surgery, as through a hospital window, increases a patient's pain thresholds and decreases their need for pain relievers and shortens recovery times. And there are also many other studies that have found these positive benefits. Going back to the Arbor Day Foundation, their Tree City, Tree Line, Tree Campus programs, they now have a new program that's called Tree Campus Healthcare. And this is for healthcare facilities such as hospitals or long-term stay housing, that not only the patients will be able to look out those hospital windows and see trees and green space as opposed to parking lots or a mowed field. And that if they would commit to doing these sorts of practices, that they will actually have, they will lower their recidivism, excuse me, I'm trying to find that word. It lowers the rate of people having to be readmitted into the hospital. And then although our pocketbook isn't actually part of our physical health, it does address our mental health, because we all know what it's like to be in a position where we have bills to pay and we're not sure how we're going to get them paid. So planting the right tree in the right place can reduce our energy costs. And so our local utility providers, such as Knoxville Utilities Board, they have wonderful information on their websites talking about how to pick the correct species of tree. Several studies have shown up to a 30% decrease in utility bills when you plant the correct species in the right place. We want trees in our environment, but we don't want them crashing into our power lines. So always remember to look up and all around the place you want to plant a tree, know what its expected mature height and crown spread might be, and is it appropriate for the site? And if necessary, please call 811 before you dig, because you don't want anyone getting electrocuted planting their trees. So like I said before, humans are intrinsically linked to the natural world, and we feel better, and it's a good place to be, and we all need access and the ability to enjoy these places. Trees care for our overall health. Actually, nowadays, healthcare providers are actually prescribing patients more time among trees where they work, live, and play to improve their health. Texas, I think it was Austin, in Texas, they've actually started a program called A Walk with a Doc. And so when you come to see the doctor, instead of coming into a building and sitting in a little sterile white cubicle waiting for the doctor, you take a walk either on the grounds of the hospital or the healthcare facility, or you meet him at a park and you walk with your doc and you tell him what's wrong and what's going on, given you're able to walk and that you're healthy enough to do that. So if we are helping improve people's health and we are telling them about the benefits of trees, we in turn hope that connecting trees to human health will encourage more people to become active stewards and advocates for our community forests. And we encourage everyone to tag your special Healthy Trees, Healthy Lives moment on hashtag HTHL. You can go to Google and type in Healthy Trees, Healthy Lives, and it will take you to the website. And just remember that the urban or the community forest isn't just our street trees or our park trees. These are your yard trees or the trees on your property. They all comprise our urban forest. Here's just some examples of the posts that were put on Healthy Trees, Healthy Lives. Sorry. From our own Tennessee Department of Agriculture. It's a good time to thank a tree. From the North Carolina Forest Service. April showers bring May flowers. Help your community by planting trees to aid against skin cancer. The State Forester's website put a study up there that said community trees improve air quality and respiratory health. And my urban coordinator counterpart in Oklahoma put together this little video. It's just a minute, and I'm going to show it to you.
There's no sound, Diane.
Okay. Okay, I'll stop that.
You might have to
Really?
just hit the little sound button over there. Oh, no.
That's okay. That's okay. But he's just doing a little video talking about Valentine's Day coming up and how it would be special to buy your loved one a red bud, a flowering red bud tree. Not only is it beautiful in the spring, but they will always remember the love that you showed them because the red bud trees leaves are shaped like a heart. From the TV Canopy Network, they published a study. Scientists have discovered that living near trees is good for your health. From the Georgia Forestry Commission, it's springtime in Georgia, and while yellow pine pollen might have some people sniffling, it's a potent plant source of testosterone and has even been used in ancient Chinese medicine as a beauty tonic. I think I'll skip sniffing the pollen whenever possible. Okay, so please, I encourage you to visit the Healthy Trees, Healthy Lives website and explore how urban forest can improve our physical and mental health and promote healing. And since the urban forest is caring for us, let's take care of the urban forest. A new bibliography containing more than 30 publications and web resources has been compiled, documenting the health benefits of forests. Also, all of these sites concerning trees and skin cancer, green exercise, property values and crime, gardens and health, attention deficit disorder, immune function, and green space prescriptions. And all of that material is available to anyone who wants to research this further. And I want to thank Trees Knoxville so very much for giving me this opportunity this evening to talk to you. And I want to thank all the participants that took time out of their evening to come and listen to me talk about healthy trees and healthy lives.
Well, that was great, Diane. Thank you so much. And will you send me those links, and then I can make sure that those are posted somewhere? So if people have questions, I can post all those links under the video. Once I get the video on YouTube, I can post all those links there, and that can help people in their research as well. So Kelly makes a good point over here, and I agree with you, Kelly. She says, I wish more could be done working directly with people to remove ivy from trees, especially in some of the neighborhoods. She says they've made some progress in their neighborhood, but it's tough. It is tough with all the ivy on the trees. I do agree. And Lee says, great job, Diane. How do you best see communities successfully remove and replace mature urban trees with less pushback from the community? He also says, obviously, we would all hurt to see the large sawtooth oak trees removed from Market Square, but at some point that becomes a reality. Do proactive discussions with the community help? Lee, they've done a lot of work to preserve those trees. Casey's done a lot of work on, they've done a lot of work to preserve those, but that's a good point. I think that's what's happening in North Carolina, where they're losing all their like 200-year-old oaks all at the same time. Yeah, how do we deal with that?
Yeah, and like everyone says, the best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The next best time is today. So we do need to look at those over mature and approaching death trees and realize that they are not going to last forever, and take measures now to plant some younger ones so that when the older ones are gone, we at least have something growing, instead of just a little stick where we go, oh no. And as far as the invasive plants, if anyone is interested, TNIPC.org is the Tennessee Invasive Plant Council. And there are just loads of good information. If you would like to address some of those problems on your own property, there are loads of good information on how to do that on that website.